Sweet baby Jesus. Look at this. It's like a war zone. Atrocious. Customers beware. So for those of you who are new and don't know what Sweet Baby Jesus is, apparently it's a consultancy group that is supposed to make games for a modern audience. You see, you have creative individuals that are making games to be timeless and for entertainment. They're like, no, your game is not going to be timeless. It's going to be fixed in the now for the modern audience. And that's what you call the consultancy group Sweet Baby. And probably for tens of thousands of dollars, they will fix your game. And this is some of the games that they touched. It's like, I guess like the Medias of shit. Have you guys read the ancient Greek stories with the emperor that was touching stuff and it was turning into gold? It's kind of like that, but it's turning them into shit. I didn't even know that they touched some of these games. Oh, Dios mío. I heard that Spider-Man 2 was supposed to have a different ending. Apparently Peter Parker was supposed to marry Mary Jane. But the modern audience doesn't like that. It's filled with disgusting heteronormativity, cisgender sissiness, like all this shit. No, like the correct ending would be for Peter Parker to go away. Like he has bored us enough with his presence, and replace him with someone new and fresh, right? Because this is what the audience wants. This is the type of changing that Sweet Baby is into. So you have the Steam curator. I already made a video about him. You guys know who he is. Initially, he had 2,000 followers, but then someone working at Sweet Baby got us hurt. Like, unironically, an employee. You can't make this shit up, right? Like, they're a company that caters for inclusivity, and they probably figured out that the Steam curator is Latinx. And because of that, like, that's not acceptable, right? Like, only white people can ask for inclusivity. And then, like, Latinx people should go. Like, you're not included in our group. So he wrote a disgruntled post, which got community fact-checked on Twitter, basically asking people to flag the Steam curator. And overnight, it now has 60,000 followers. And the person that asked for that ended up shutting down their account. Now, this got the internet a little bit upset, a little bit outraged. Like, who do they think they are? How dare you attack a member of our community? Because we stand now together, strong. And they started looking into Sweet Baby. So this gentleman, that I'm pretty sure some of you know him by the name of Grooms, he used to work at Blizzard. Not just any employee, he was in the leadership and the higher up, back when Blizzard was actually making good games. And he pointed out that one of the people associated with Sweet Baby actually was associated with Gamergate, and they were part of a harassment and targeting campaign. If you guys remember, there was this fervor back then to get more women in gaming. Like, this is all that the press was talking about. They weren't talking about bugs, glitches, what games are good and what games were bad. No, like, the only thing that they knew how to write was like, we need to get more women in gaming. And there was like this fundraiser called the Fine Young Capitalist, and they were like, okay, well, let's promote some female game developers here. But Zoe Quinn had her own grift, and you will notice that woke people really dislike competition. Like, they hate capitalism. It's like, yeah. So they targeted that fundraising in order to take it down. Interesting times, right? So apparently, a lot of people that worked with Silver Media back in the day, which was like the Anita Sarkeesian grift, which was like, oh, your company is filled with sexist, misogyny, disgusting. Why don't you hire me? I want to work in your disgusting company so I can take some of your disgusting cash. And in exchange, I will help you improve. You know, like a consultancy group. It's pretty much what Sweet Baby is doing. Same people, apparently. Not all of them, but like there is an overlap. And the more people are digging, the more they're finding out, and the more they're linking these two companies together, apparently. They don't like that. I don't know why, but what's interesting, though, is that they don't like the fact that people are saying which games they worked on. And with this resume, it doesn't surprise me. I would rather say that I had a job gap than to admit that I had anything to do with these games. I mean, look at this, right? It's not that they just managed to get unsuccessful games. Like, some of these games have literally tanked the studio that produced them. So, Saints Row completely tanked the IP. I have no faith that anyone is going to purchase a sequel from this company after this Saints Row. But Forspoken is renowned for being one of the most unsuccessful games, right? You have Mortal Kombat with like the worst female characters in any fighting game ever, like the worst depictions that I could think of. Like you can't, you just can't make a game that has like more dudes. All the dudes are shirtless, big muscles, pecs, right? Like full masculinity. And all the women that they're presenting their full masculinity as well. Strong jawlines, broad shoulders, hips so tiny that they need a C-sec. Like, this is apparently Mortal Kombat, right? A game that was renowned for sex and violence. At least we have the violence, but there's no more sex appeal. Gotham Knights, I mean, we all know this catastrophe. So while this is happening, while this is being released, we get a lot of cope coming online. And of course, it's difficult to tell which ones are trolling versus which ones are real, but they're funny nonetheless. This one is one of my favorite. Let's defuse the situation. I know this group claims it isn't trying to bankrupt Sweet Baby Inc., but this is exactly what will happen if you don't stop now. Not all employees are as unreasonable as that one random person on Twitter. They actually have jobs and families to support. Well, yeah, you see, but like after playing so many video games and getting educated by the messages that these video games were transmitting to me, I realized that the family unit isn't important. Like, what, you know, like, why do we care about family and marriage in any way? It's like, come on, it's current year, you know, like, why are you pushing these bigoted values onto us? It's like, marriage, it's not like they are hurting anybody. Well, yeah, it's not, right? I mean, I know at least a dozen game developers that were fired from the AAA companies because they weren't in line with the modern audience. So it's not like, yeah, it's not like they're hurting anybody. By the same standard, it's not like the Steam curator is hurting anybody either. But this is the absolute state. On one hand, calling uncle. On another hand, being that you're racist if you don't like these people. Yes, I'm racist if I don't like people that are harassing Latinx members online. Sure. Will it cause Gamergate 2.0? I genuinely don't know. The thing with Gamergate, like, why was it so impactful, is because it united the left and the right. Very few people actually remember this. But Gamergate was, for the first time in the history of the internet, when Tumblr, which was a website that was incredibly far to the left, united with 4chan, which was a website that was incredibly far to the right. And these individuals put aside their differences in order to show their disgust and their disdain towards the video gaming press. And the video gaming press responded by accusing everyone of being misogynistic and whatever. But they lost millions of dollars due to it. And up till this day, they're still afraid. Because if you look at world politics, like Occupy Wall Street, really frightened the elites. Why? Because, again, the left and the right put aside their differences and started protesting. And that's when they started chugging the identity politics. And they did the same with Gamergate. They started chugging the identity politics, destroying the identity of a gamer. Right? Because gamer used to be an identity that you weren't born with, but an identity that you chose. And once you became a gamer, you looked at fellow gamers as friends, as comrades, right? So they didn't like this at all, and they crushed the identity. They released several articles where they actually said, like, no, this is going to be our effort now in order to crush it. And before, like, all companies were saying, yeah, you know, we love gamers and we're gamers as well. And after that, like, companies made an effort to avoid that word as much as possible, right? And instead they started saying consumers, fans, yeah. But this is, like, the thing that they hate the most. It's a populist movement that unites the left and the right, right? They just are terrified of it. So, will this particular thing cause such an event? Will the left and the right put aside their differences? I don't know. Probably unlikely. The thing with the first Gamergate is that all of it was brand new. At the time, woke people had amazing good PR. They were compassionate, empathetic, tolerant, kind, embracing, right? But all of a sudden, people notice, hold on, like, these individuals, they speak the speech, but their actions are reprehensible. Like, I remember a video game journalist argued with someone on Twitter over video games, and because he was losing the debate, he tagged the company that the guy worked at in order to try and get them fired. And it's like, well, like, this is not what the kind, compassionate, and tolerant person does. What the fuck, right? So a lot of individuals were like, hold on a little bit. Like, these people are very corrupt, very nepotistic. They hire and they promote each other. They're grifters. They're sucking money out of these companies and corporations through payola. They're not nice people. They claim they care about women, but the moment that there's a woman that's outside their clique, they're crushing her so that they can replace her with one of the women that they like. And it's like, well, that's not really good activism, is it? So all of the sudden, like, people discovered this, and they decided, no, like, we're not going to allow these individuals to speak on behalf of our communities. And that was what Gamergate was. And of course, the press got in because many of these individuals had connections with people from The Guardian and BBC and MSNBC and all the other alphabet soup networks. And that's what caused the event. However, will this happen now? I don't know. But like, it's really interesting because it actually is hurting Sweet Baby. Like, they're panicking. They're panicking because, like, all of a sudden it's revealed that they've worked not on just bad games, but games that destroyed studios, like Forspoken. Games that destroyed IPs. You don't want your name to be associated with that. You don't want your brand anywhere near that. So, and those games were expensive as fuck as well. Like, very expensive to make. And at the same time, not popular at all. And, like, if it actually leads to some sort of boycott, which is unlikely, gamers rarely boycott, but if it does lead to a boycott, companies may not want to hire them. Sure, they're probably going to start a new company, change their name and stuff, if they're smart, if that happens, right? Like, if they become toxic, they will just change their name and pop up as a new company, and there's many other consultant companies. But right now, they don't seem smart. If they would have shut up and just ignored this guy, this random Steam guy, he wouldn't have blown up. People wouldn't have dug into them to see who's working at that company and what their history is. Apparently, like, they found people that are incredibly anti-Semitic. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's coming out. Problem is, I can't fact check it. So if I can't fact check it, I'm not going to present it here until there's more evidence. But the internet is digging. You don't want that. You don't want it. But no. Let me know what you guys think, though. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.